Well, good morning. Here we are, usual panic, Monday morning, and it's not too bad at the moment. We can have sunny spells today with a bit of light wind. But when it says sunny spells, that means there's also a smattering of rain. The temperature is only going to be about 9 degrees. It's been 12 the last couple of days or so, so significant drop in the level of heat, but still not bad weather, and certainly not the gusty winds that we've had of late. So there you are. I'm Keith Hayes. This is Mirador Television, and we are broadcasting from the White Hart in Lewis, home of Tom Paine, and now home to Mirador Television, but also the White Hart, very significant and historic old hotel. Lovely staff here. Wonderful welcome. Coffee is hot. Do drop by. For the moment, though, it's on with television, I think. Well, there you are. That's who we are. Mirador Television. And at this hour of the day, what we do is we go from now 8:30, well, it's 8:33 on a lovely morning. We go through to 9 o'clock with a review of the papers and a little look at the news, sometimes with comment, sometimes we zip it, despite the fact that we love to say something. But also we are ready to give you a little bit of entertainment after 9:30. So we disappear into our backroom studio at 9 o'clock, reappear at 9:30. So those who want to know what's going on in the world is in terms of news and what we might have to say about that news, stick with us. Those who prefer a little light entertainment, come back at 9:30. We promise we'll still be here. Okay, right, let's take a look then at what the newspapers, the front headlines are saying this morning. And the Eye kicks off, and it says Sunak moves to calm Tory nerves ahead of a crunch vote. Get it right, Keith. Crunch vote on small boats. And the issue really, once again, is are we actually going to do something about the people pouring ashore in the small boats across from the continent? And of course, at the moment, there are riots in France, and it's difficult to say what can take place there and what can't. But anyway, the Eye says that leading the government's flagship illegal migration bill returns to the Commons today. It says ministers may have to make concessions to stave off a revolt, as up to 60 Tory right-wingers want to toughen up the controversial law, which aims to stop small boats crossing the channel. It also turns its attention to the SNP leadership race, with the results of a fractious leadership contest to be announced later. Okay, then we move on to the Times, which goes on to another topic which the government has always seemed incapable of handling, of doing something about, and that is sewage. And the Times says over 800 sewage spills a day. And it says... yes, it's looking. Look, the Times says it's looking at the migration bill vote, a backbench rebellion. But it features a story on raw sewage being dumped into rivers and coastal areas across England more than 300,000 times in the last year. Wow. Well, that's pretty raw sewage, isn't it? That's a raw figure. Sorry to play on that word, but the Daily Express it goes back to highlight the Tory rebels and their fight to close the what they see as loopholes in the new law designed to stop the flotilla of small boats coming from the continent, and they just don't think it's tough enough, apparently. So the Express leads on the same story as the Eye. It says the ministers are fighting to quell the actions of backbench Tory MPs who want the Prime Minister to close every legal loophole that allows foreign judges to interfere with Britain's borders. Just as an offshoot of that, it pays tribute to Harry Kane, who scored the first goal against Ukraine in the Euro 2024 qualifiers yesterday, with England winning 2-0. There you go. Actually, that totally escaped me that there was an England game on yesterday. Just shows how we're diluting the sports in many respects. Right, where do we go from there? Okay. We go to the Metro, which leads with hippie crackdown. You booty, declare the Metro, whose front page is dominated by a tribute to Golden Boot scorer Harry Kane. It also turns its attention to the government's plans to clamp down on antisocial behaviour by banning laughing gas. Well, goodness gracious me. Who would have thought that? Dear old laughing gas gets into the headlines. Oh no, that's the nurses. Where is our laughing gas? Dear. I don't think that we've got it. Never mind. We'll see what we can do before the end of the thing to see whether we can get the laughing gas because I've always thought of it as something rather funny, and it's. I suppose that it's not really. There we go. Laughing gas. It's the new sort of craze. It's the new drug. But apparently, when you take it, you're out of your head. It's laughing gas is called hippie crack. And antisocial behavior is being associated with it. So heavens to Betsy. What on earth is going on when we find everybody tries to find everything that we've always taken for granted and controlled happily as a society, just to get it on, turn it on. Why are they worried and why are they running away so much from our present society? Well, that's a good question, isn't it? I mean, we are in this television station as critical of our government as anybody. But there are some good things left. We're not all bad, I don't think. Now, let me just tell you about another story which is in The Guardian, and that is the NHS chiefs are sounding the alarm about on spiralling staff shortages in the NHS, but also there's a big front page picture of Mississippi, which has been devastated by a ferocious tornado. And the paper says the NHS needs to plug a spiralling staff shortage. then could render it short of more than 500,000 staff. The newspaper says it obtained an internal document that says it is currently operating with 154,000 fewer full-time staff than it needs. The NHS is unable to cope with the rising demand for care. Elsewhere, it writes that an independent drug advisory council warned against banning laughing gas, saying it could create significant burdens for those who need to use it. Oh dear, I knew that something somewhere would get into a controversy. You can't do anything nowadays. Is Ying says and Yang says. The Daily Telegraph. Right. Okay. Here's another controversial one, because the government is targeting beggars in a crackdown on crime. Right. The Daily Telegraph leads on the government's plans to target rough sleepers who are causing public distress as part of an antisocial behavior crackdown. The move could target people who are blocking shop doorways, asking for money at cash machines, or leaving their belongings on payments. And it also reports, okay, so that's the crackdown. That's who it's going off against. We've all seen them. Some we have sympathy for, some we don't. I mean, you can get a variety of stories. I haven't seen many people on the streets of Lewis recently who are begging. At one time, we had quite a lot. Whether that's a police crackdown or whether they moved on to greener pastures. But there would be very many people happy to tell you that don't give to that beggar there because he's got his own three-bedroom apartment, or at least he's got one from the council. But he comes out and this is his day job. Down to, really those poor people been let down by ourselves and our councils and so on. So you get a wide range of views on that. The Daily Telegraph leads on the government's plan to target rough sleepers, but it then goes on to report that Nicola Sturgeon, stepping down as First Minister, could boost Labour's chances and lead Sir Keir Starmer's Labour to victory in the next general election. And that's according to Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar. Yes. The Daily Mail. Sex offenders let off crimes just by saying sorry, it says. It's over 1,000, including rapists, escape with no criminal record. The Mail reports that over 1,000 sex offenders have avoided criminal records in the past 2 years by apologizing to their victims. It says police gave out community resolutions in 1,064 cases, including an instance of child rape. There have been a 53% uptick in the use of the orders in this time, which are designed to tackle low-level crimes, it adds. Well, there you are. You make up your mind about that. Is that a problem or isn't it a problem? On the surface, it looks like a problem, but then again, you'll always get a distant viewpoint. The Mirror. That's on about some undercover reporters. Give me £10,000 a day and I can get you Boris Johnson. And that's the former Chancellor Kwarteng, who is caught offering access to ex-PM as he touts himself in a sting. I'm not too sympathetic to the Mirror on this. Lobbyists do that all the time. That's what their gain is, getting people access to ministers for a healthy fee. So Kwarteng has been lobbying. And I suppose as a former government minister or a sitting MP, he shouldn't be doing that. But certainly this touting to, I can get you in to see so-and-so, as long as it's legitimate, is a legitimate business. If it's not legitimate, then you've got a case to answer. I said I can get you to meet Princess Anne or whatever, and you can't. That's a scam. Sorry, chaps, it is. Kwarteng agreed to work for a fake South Korean company for £10,000 a day. The newspaper says the former chancellor told the company he could try and arrange a meeting with former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. A meeting with Boris Johnson. No, there was that much probably been getting to him, actually. Oh, poor blimey. The dear old Star, it keeps on going on the weather. And it's going to rain cats and dogs now. Now, in its newspaper headlines last week, we were all going to be inundated with a huge snowstorm. That hasn't materialized. So now it's saying 150 miles per hour jet stream will bring torrential storms. It's going to rain cats and dogs, says the Daily Star. It warns that a deluge of wet weather is heading our way, with a spell of rain set to continue into April. Well, that's not very far away now. It's only 3 days away before we end the first quarter of this year. Wow, where time does go. The thing is, I'll be another year older pretty soon. I don't know whether I can take that sort of advance that quickly. A year used to be a year. Now it disappears in also like 3 months. The sun. Oh, well, Harry scores again. It decides it's going to go totally on the fact that Harry Kane scored a goal for England. So that's it's a medley, a mix of stories this morning on the headlines. Several things happening today, and so we can expect all sorts of things throughout the day. You should keep your ears and eyes open on the headlines and on the telly or wherever you like to get your news, just to see some of the things that are happening. But here is before the deluge is what's going to happen today. Oh, there he is. His little laugh. I love that little laugh. Some people say, "Oh, he's sinister," but he gives me a kick. He really gives me a kick. There's no question. And it's. Now, locally, there is a warning that has been put out over the weekend. Is that not to eat a brand of semi-soft cheeses after listeria outbreak causes a death. One person in the UK has died in a listeria outbreak, and consumers have been warned to avoid Baronet semi-soft cheese that may have been recalled because they contain and are contaminated with the bacteria listeria. The Food Standards Agency and the UK Health Security Agency issued the warning on Friday after exceptionally high levels of listeria were found in some of the cheeses. So that is a warning, and be careful if you bought any soft cheese recently. Then you could be in danger So double check your soft cheese and throw it away if you have any doubt whatsoever. There's the police have put out a missing man report for Gabriel Powell. He's a man from Hove, and was last seen on security footage on Brighton Pier on Friday. Police say they are very concerned about Gabriel's welfare. Anyone who spots him is now being asked to dial 999 as soon as possible. So that's the key local news. So generally speaking, I think that says it all. Now, I get in here pretty damn early in the morning, and it is now 8:51, and I actually pull my chair up to the fire, and I like to think that I can relax for a minute or two. But basically, what I do is I do a little commentary, if you like. And this morning, I said to Shannon, who greets me as I came in through the front door at 7:15, pull me up to the fire, Shannon. And she'd got the fire going, and I sat down, and I thought, yes, I'm just going to have a little word in everybody's ear. Well, good morning. I think that our false start is over. It's a funny old world, isn't it? That's Shannon in the background, by the way, looking after me, as she always does first thing in the morning. She got that lovely fire roaring behind me. I just sit here and make comments. My comment this morning is that I watched over the weekend the movie Official Secrets, which was all about the whistleblower in MI5 who said Tony Blair was going to war illegally. She was found not guilty, or at least the Crown withdrew the prosecution eventually after a year of torture. And we went to war illegally. It was proved to be illegal later on. And what happened to Tony Blair? Not a damn thing. In fact, he went on from strength to strength. Many people say what a popular prime minister he was. He keeps applying for senior jobs here, senior jobs there, and he's made a fortune. Okay, well, making a fortune doesn't bother me. That's good for him. But, you know, we come a decade or 2 decades later. Let's see, that was 1998, 99, wasn't it? The Iraq crisis, thereabouts. So we come 20 years later, and Boris Johnson filches a Christmas cake and a half bottle of champagne. Now, don't misunderstand. I am not necessarily supporting Boris. All I'm trying to do is just compare with the way that politics, both in Westminster and at home amongst ourselves in our opinions, it differs from case to case, and yet there's very little in it. You know, Boris, he lied to the House of Commons. So did Tony Blair. In fact, Tony Blair lied to everybody and got away with it scot-free. The pack have been after, in a most unseemly and undignified way, taking Boris Johnson in front of a committee and grilling him. And to me, that is distinctly silly because we didn't do it for Tony Blair. But yes, oh gosh, yeah, Boris is such a colourful character and just an eccentric. And he does this and he does that, which doesn't fit in with our pattern of life. And what do? We start to call him all names under the sun. And despite the fact that actually he achieved quite a bit as Prime Minister. And do we actually ease off? Not a bit of it. Not a bit of it. So my question really is, where do we stand politically? The fact of the matter is, we've got a lot of people in Westminster who shouldn't be there. They are lightweights, to say the least. Some of them are, in political terms, pygmies. It serves us right because we've allowed our constitutional democracy, or actually a constitutional monarchy, as we are, to get out of hand. So we, the people, actually put these silly nonsense people into Westminster. But also the fact is that on social media and in pubs and in bars, you can hear people who take sides one way or the other. And that just shows politically how naive we are, and yet we don't mind actually bearing our souls to the world. Official secrets: Tony Blair. Christmas cake: Boris Johnson. Not much difference. In fact, if anything, Boris's sins are far less than Tony Blair's. Tony Blair, hero; Boris Johnson, villain. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Oh, indeed it does. Right, that's it for this morning. Toodle pip. If we could actually find our way to say toodle pip properly. Yes, we can. Well, there we are. There's a viewpoint. Entirely up to you how you think about it. But that was my view, and I'm sticking with it. And I'd rather bet that there'll be quite a few people who they cannot see a logical argument. They get all terribly emotional in terms of politics and the individuals in it, which just shows how we have started to look at our politicians as celebrities, not as people to do a job. So the fact that we get poor government and poor governance is our own fault. It's the way we see things now. Instead of trying hard to see what the issues are, instead of trying to balance things against both what has happened in the past and what is fair and decent and just in the present, and what we should be looking at during the future. So there we are. Right, now, for those of you who like to check these things, it is now 8:57. Outside is sunny spells, and we're having a sunny spell right now. The courthouse opposite to me is bathed in sunshine. But sunny spells means that they are exactly what they are, spells of sun. And in between time, it's either a cloud or a spot of rain. The temperature is quite interesting because it's dropped 3 degrees from last week. Where it was 12, it is now 9. But we are not starting off below 0 in the morning. In fact, this morning the low is 3 degrees. That's the scene on the streets, as it were. The scene in house ranges this morning from controversy over sewage being dumped into the ocean, how to handle the illegal immigrants who pour ashore still in their little boats, down to who should blame Boris and who shouldn't. It's a whole wide mixed bag of instances that's happening. I suppose that the best news of the lot is that England beat Ukraine 2-0 last night to carry on their merry way in the Euros. And that should bring a little bit of a smile to people's faces. And also the fact that under fire, Harry Kane was a scorer again. So there you go. The good, the bad, the yin, the yang, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this is the ugly saying goodbye for a minute or two, well, for 30 minutes, and then we'll be back with more stuff this morning. So till 9:30, when we invite you to meet us again, and at 8:59, no, it's not, it's just turned 9 o'clock. Toodle, toodle, toodle pip.